It was the kind of night that makes you question everything. The coffee machine broke. A kid spilled syrup down my apron, and a table of 5 walked out without paying their tab. I was running on 2 hours of sleep and half a protein bar. Then, near closing, a man sat alone at table 7, quiet, distant, said barely a word, no smile, no kindness, just a stiff nod when I refilled his coffee. When he left, I opened the check folder and found a single crumpled dollar. No thank you, no goodbye. Just a message scribbled in the margin of the receipt. Smile more. Might help your life a little. I should have been mad. I should have thrown it away and forgotten his face. But the next day, I found a note. No name, no logo, just an address, and one line. Tomorrow, noon, bring nothing. I thought he was just another customer. Turns out, he was someone who'd been watching far more closely than I realized. And what he gave me next changed everything. My name's Lena. I've been waiting tables for 5 years. I never thought I'd be here this long. When I started, it was supposed to be temporary, something to pay the bills while I figured out what I really wanted to do. Back then, I had a degree in English, a dozen unpaid internship applications, and just enough hope left to think I'd be out of the diner by Christmas. Christmas came and went, so did 5 more. The job offers didn't, and neither did the rent. I work at a small diner tucked between a laundromat and a discount pharmacy, the kind of place where the pancakes come with 3 kinds of syrup, and the coffee's bottomless, but somehow still always half cold. We get regulars, old men with nowhere else to be, tired moms on lunch breaks, students who tip with quarters. I've memorized every menu item, every regular's order, every shortcut in the kitchen when the grill guy's behind. I can carry 5 plates on one arm and fake a smile through a double shift with a migraine. I don't love the job, but I do it well. And when the world around you is unpredictable, there's something oddly comforting about doing something you've mastered, even if no one notices. And mostly, no one does. They don't see the burn on my wrist from the coffee pot. They don't see me limping after a 12-hour shift. They don't see the way I fold my tips at the end of the night, already dividing them between gas money and groceries in my head. I live in a 1-room apartment on the 2nd floor of a building that smells like wet carpet and cigarette smoke. The ceiling leaks when it rains. The radiator makes a noise like it's breathing. I share the place with a space heater, a cat I rescued last year, and more overdue bills than I can count. Every month, I send what I can to help my little brother. He's in school, full scholarship, smart as hell. I promised him I'd make sure he didn't have to drop out, so I pick up shifts. I say yes when I want to say no. I tell him I'm doing great even when I'm down to $9.23 in my checking account. I don't complain. I've seen worse. I've lived through worse. But that night, that was a hard one. I was already running on fumes when my boss asked if I could cover the dinner rush. Just until 9, he said. Then you're free. It turned into 10, then 10:30. The coffee machine backed up. We ran out of clean mugs. My feet felt like they were made of lead, and I'd sliced my finger opening a box of syrup packets. But I kept going. Smiling, pouring, nodding, apologizing. Then he walked in, the man from table 7, middle-aged, sharp jacket, crisp shirt, not flashy but clean, the kind of person who looked like he was always on time, always in control. He didn't take off his coat, didn't make small talk, just slid into the booth and ordered black coffee, 2 eggs, no toast. I brought it without delay. Tried the usual. Long day? He nodded once, didn't look up. I didn't push. Some people are just like that. but the way he looked through me, not at me, stuck. When he left, he didn't say thank you. Just placed the bill face down and walked out, his plate still warm. I opened the check folder, expecting a $2 tip maybe. Instead, I found a single dollar bill, folded twice, and a message scrawled across the bottom of the receipt. Smile more, might help your life a little. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I was surprised. I wasn't. I'd had customers leave worse. I'd had people say worse. But that night, with my feet blistered and my head aching and my paycheck already spoken for, it stung. I tossed the receipt in the trash, said nothing, kept working. But hours later, when I was wiping down the table before locking up, I noticed something I'd missed. A small plain business card tucked under the plate. No name, no logo, just a single line. Tomorrow, noon, bring nothing. And an address I didn't recognize. I stared at that card for a long time after my shift ended. It didn't make sense. There was no company name, no phone number, no branding, just an address and that cryptic message. Tomorrow, noon, bring nothing. It didn't even say who it was from, but I already knew. Table 7. The man with the cold eyes and the sharper pen. At first I thought it had to be a joke, maybe someone's idea of performance art. Maybe it was a trap, or maybe I was just too tired and too broke to think clearly. The truth is, I almost threw it away right there in the alley behind the diner, but something about it stuck with me. Because while I'd seen my fair share of rude customers, most of them didn't leave. Breadcrumbs. They didn't write notes. They didn't hand out invitations. They didn't look at me like they were studying me for something I couldn't name. So I went home, made a cup of instant soup I didn't want, fed the cat, sat on the edge of the bed and turned the card over and over in my hand like it might give me some kind of answer. It didn't. But the next morning I woke up and got dressed like I had somewhere to be. I almost felt ridiculous, like I was walking into a story that didn't belong to me. But I figured, worst case, I wasted an hour. Best case, maybe I'd get to tell off a rich man in a lobby and go home with something resembling closure. By 11:45, I was standing outside the address on the card, a quiet, understated office building in the nicer part of town. No signs, no foot traffic. It looked like the kind of place you drive past 100 times and never once wonder about. I walked in, heart pounding like I'd broken a rule. A woman at the front desk looked up the moment I stepped inside. She was dressed sharply, but her smile was real. "Miss Lena?" I blinked. "Yes?" "Right this way. You're expected." Expected. I don't think I'd ever heard that word used for me before, not in that tone, not in that place. She led me down a quiet hall to a private room. No windows, no office furniture. Just a small table, 2 chairs, a pitcher of water, and a manila envelope sitting dead center. I sat down, waited. A few minutes later, he walked in. The same man, same coat, same expression. Unreadable. Only this time, he was the one who hesitated. "Thanks for coming," he said, then added, "I wasn't sure if you would." "I almost didn't," I replied. "You weren't exactly kind." He gave a slight nod. No argument. Then he sat across from me, folded his hands on the table and said, "You're right. I wasn't kind, but I needed to see something first." I didn't know what to say to that. I needed to see something first. It sounded rehearsed, like he'd practiced it. But the way he looked at me, steady, deliberate, told me it wasn't a line. He meant it. So I asked the only thing I could think of. "See what, exactly? That I'd still serve you even when you were treating me like dirt?" He didn't flinch. "That you wouldn't break. I narrowed my eyes. Break. Get bitter, snap, lose patience, or fake a smile just to earn a tip. You wanted me to fake a smile? No, he said. I wanted to see if you would. He leaned back slightly, studying me like he was still figuring out how much I understood. You don't know who I am, he said, and that's by design. What I do, what I build, depends on people like you, not actors, not polished interviews, real people who live in pressure every day and still show up. I used to be one of them. It caught me off guard. The first real thing he'd said. He looked down at the envelope on the table, then slid it across to me. You don't have to open it now, but I want you to take it. I didn't move. He exhaled, almost like he'd been holding it. My name is Marcus Hale. I own a group of hospitality companies, restaurants, hotels, event spaces, 22 locations, soon to be 23. But I started in the kitchen, on a line. I've waited tables, cleaned fryers, been stiffed more times than I can count. Every year I pick one city, one diner, one shift, and I leave a note. Not to test people, not to trick them, to find someone who's still showing up, who still leads with dignity, even when no one's watching. I stared at him. You left me $1, I said, and you didn't throw it at me. You didn't quit. You didn't crack. You didn't even know I was coming back. I finally reached for the envelope. Inside, a check. I had to read the number 3 times. $25,000. I looked up at him, stunned. I don't understand. This is a mistake. It's a grant, he said, not a gift. You've earned it. Use it to breathe, pay off debt, start something, or don't. Just stop surviving and start living. He pulled a second sheet from his coat. A job offer. I'd like you to come work for my company, in our people development team, helping design support programs for service workers, real ones, created by people who've been in the apron, not just behind the desk. It's not charity. It's a partnership. You bring the experience. I'll bring the resources. I sat there in shock. Just 24 hours earlier, I'd been scraping tips off a diner counter, silently begging the universe for a break. Now, someone was handing me a door I didn't even know existed, and all I had to do was walk through it. I sat with that envelope in my lap, the check still half folded inside, the job offer unopened beside it. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't know what to say. Not because I didn't want what was in front of me, but because when you've spent years fighting for scraps, learning how to survive disappointment without showing it, you don't know what to do when someone finally hands you a full plate. I looked up at him. Why me? I asked. Really? Why me? He met my eyes, and this time there was no performance, no distance, just truth. Because you didn't ask for anything, and you still gave everything. Because I've watched people who smile for the cameras and curse the cooks. Because most people show up when there's something to gain, and you showed up when there was nothing left to take. He leaned forward, elbows on the table. You treated me like a human being, even when I wasn't doing the same for you. That matters more than anything on a resume. I sat back in the chair and let the words sink in. No one had ever said anything like that to me. Not a teacher, not a boss, not even the people I'd bent over backwards to help. Most folks see waitresses like we're walking trays, disposable, invisible, replaceable. But Marcus had looked past the uniform, past the fatigue, past the forced politeness and the cracked skin on my knuckles and the way I'd hesitated to say my own name, like it wasn't worth much. He saw me. He didn't offer pity. He offered partnership, a way out, but not a handout, a door, and the chance to choose it. He stood up then, smoothing the sleeves of his coat. There's no deadline. If you say no, I won't come knocking again. That envelope's still yours either way. But if you say yes, I expect your full heart, not just your time. Because you've got something a lot of people in my industry don't. He paused at the door. You remember what it's like to be the one holding the empty tray. Then he left. No dramatic exit, no bodyguards, just a man walking back into the world with less arrogance than he'd had the night before. And me? I sat there another 10 minutes, just breathing, just being. It was the first time in a long time I felt like my life wasn't something I had to survive. I didn't say yes right away. I went home, sat on the edge of my bed, and laid everything out in front of me. The check, the offer, the empty coffee cup I'd taken from the diner like muscle memory. The cat jumped on the table and sniffed the paper like it somehow knew something was different. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the panic ticking behind my eyes. No dread over the gas tank, no silent calculation of how many hours I'd need to work to afford laundry and rent and bread. Just silence and possibility. I said yes 2 days later. The transition was surreal at first. I traded my diner apron for a badge with my name printed on it in real font, not Sharpie. I had a desk near a window, a chair that didn't wobble, an inbox with messages that didn't ask me to cover just one more shift. The team was small, a passion project inside Marcus's larger company. People from all walks of life. One woman had been a hotel maid for 10 years. One guy had run a food truck and lost everything in a fire. Every single person had one thing in common. They knew what it meant to work hard without being seen. Our job was to fix that. We designed better training, better support systems, real maternity leave, emergency grants, mental health days, not the fake kind that corporate brochures brag about and never deliver. Marcus didn't want window dressing. He wanted impact, and he trusted me to help shape it. He called me our compass, said I kept the team honest. Every time someone came to me overwhelmed, afraid to ask for help, I knew how to speak to them, because I'd been them. 6 months after I started, I went back to the diner, not during a shift, just as a customer. I sat at table 7. My old boss didn't recognize me at first. I ordered coffee, eggs, no toast. When I paid the bill, I tucked something beneath the plate, an envelope with $1,000 in small bills, and a handwritten note that said, "For the next 10 people who tip under $1, balance it out, and tell them to smile when it's real." Then I left. I still don't live fancy. I still clip coupons. I still eat boxed mac and cheese sometimes because it's comforting. But I don't live in fear anymore. And I don't walk through the world like I'm invisible. Because someone reminded me that dignity doesn't come from how people treat you. It comes from how you treat others, even when they don't deserve it. And the second someone sees that in you, your whole life can change. Some people walk in and leave you with a complaint, a stain, or a bill you didn't deserve. But once in a while, someone leaves you a door. And if you're brave enough to open it, you might just walk into the life you were always meant to have.